All right, man. So how are you doing? How does it feel to be a UFC fighter?
It feels good, man. It feels good. Honestly, I was just talking to a teammate about this the other day, but it doesn't feel like anything different. Like it feels just like another win on the regional scene. I don't know, it's weird, and I'm happy to be here. Don't get me wrong. This is like where I dreamt of being, but it just feels like another fight. But I'm glad to be here. Uh, going to be able to fight the best people in the world, and I think I belong here.
Did it take a little while for it to sink in? Like, did you like go back and start drinking with your with your teammate, or was it just like I'm gonna go back to the hotel, let this sink in? Well, what was sort of what'd you do after the fight?
Yeah, I just kind of hung out with some friends and family, and we went out to eat, and yeah, I think it sunk in, man. I'm not really sure, dude. Like I don't know, maybe because I pictured myself being here so many times, it just kind of feels like normal. I don't know. And then so like with my teammates, I was talking to Grant Dawson. He's in the UFC and he kind of had a similar path to getting there as far as like going through Contender Series. So I was like, maybe it feels this way because of the way I earned the contract, right? Kind of with the interview in front of Dana White through the Contender Series path. And so I asked him, I'm like, did you kind of feel like the same way? He's like, dude, absolutely. Like I felt the same way. And he's like, I thought after my first UFC fight, like as I was walking out, I could feel like, okay, I'm in the UFC. And he's like, didn't, man. It just felt like another fight. So I'm like, okay, cool. I'm just never gonna be happy. No, I'm joking. But yeah, I guess that's kind of the mindset you have to have, I guess. But I don't know. It feels great being here, man, and it has a nice ring to it, saying I'm in the UFC. So I'll take it.
So I want to talk a little bit about the Contender Series. How did you get the news that you were going to compete on it? Obviously, there's like a pandemic going on. Everything's kind of going nuts. What was your reaction to getting it, and how did you get the news?
Yeah, so it was just a couple days after my fight in February. I fought a tough vet. He's kind of fought the who's who, especially around the Midwest. He's fought UFC vets. So I thought I beat him in the second round with an arm triangle. And then a couple days later, I get the FaceTime call from my manager and coach. They're like, "Hey man, Contender Series, let's do it." And I was just stoked. I was on cloud nine. It's the opportunity I've been working for a pretty long time. So when I got the news, it was just get to work. It was at the end of February when I got the news. The fight was supposed to be in July because the Fight Island it got pushed back to August.
With everything that was going on, the pandemic, the inability to train in it and all that stuff, was there any hesitation? Like, I'm not getting the proper training, or I can't get the proper camp, I can't get in the right mindset. Was there any hesitation to take it, or was it just this opportunity comes around once in a lifetime? I'm grabbing it no matter what.
Yeah, both. It was actually pre-COVID that I got the news. So it was at the end of February, and then everything went to shit. But yeah, there was never a question of like whether to take it or not. I got a little longer camp. I think in total it was like 14 weeks because the fight got pushed back. Um, and then training with COVID, it was just like, man, you're gonna find a way to make it happen. There's no excuses. Like when you want something that bad, you're gonna find a way to train. So for everybody making excuses with COVID, you can find a way to train.
I was talking to Greg Hopkins, who fights on Valor, a couple weeks now actually, and he was saying, he's like, I blew up, man. I put on so much weight. He's like, I don't know how I'm gonna get back down. Did you have any issues with your weight cut, or did you manage to kind of keep it relatively low?
Yeah, I did get pretty heavy, man. I got like in the high 50s while getting ready for the fight. It was just I was dealing with an injury, so I got pretty heavy. But man, again, you find a way to make it happen. You find a way to make sure you're getting the training you need. Um, especially with an opportunity like that.
I want to talk a little bit about the fight now. I mean, he looked unbelievable, Jacob Silva. He was incredibly tough. Did anything about him surprise you?
No, man, I felt like we had him down to like a T. Like pretty much that was the exact thing we thought he was gonna do. We knew he was tough. We knew he was durable. My coach, James Krause, was actually not able to be there. He tested positive for COVID. But the day of the fight, he FaceTimed me just to kind of go over the game plan again the morning of the fight. And exactly what he said was going to happen happened, right? He told me there's going to be a point in the fight where he says, fuck it. I'm getting picked apart on the feet from a distance. this kid has too many weapons and he's going to bite down the mouthpiece and start fighting in blitzes, kind of just say, bite down on his mouthpiece and swing for the fences. And that's kind of what he did in the third round. So I felt like we did a pretty good job. The game plan was to meet him bone on bone when he came in with those blitzes, meaning with knees and elbows. And I felt like I did a pretty good job of doing that.
So Dana and the team tend to like finishes. They like submissions and like knockouts. You've finished every opponent up until the Contender series. Was there any bit of were you nervous at all that, maybe the fact that it was a decision may play a factor into his decision, or were you confident because that fight was an absolute war too? So, I mean, it was performance of the night worthy regardless, but were you nervous at all?
Yeah, there was a little bit of nervousness, man. You just never know. However, when I got the fight, I was talking to my manager. This was back at the end of February. It was like I have to get a finish right. Is kind of what I asked him, and he was like, "Dude, your style is so entertaining that even if you go to a decision, I think you get the contract." So that was running through my mind, that exact conversation we had after the fight, and then it was also well, it's a decision. You never know. So yeah, I was nervous, but people were texting me. James was my coach was texting me. He's like, "Man, you got the standing ovation." So it was trying to stay optimistic, but yeah, there was some nerves back there. Shit, am I gonna get it? Am I gonna have to try it again? I don't know. I'm just glad I did get the contract.
Yeah, I guess the good thing there too is that you are in a flyweight division, which doesn't have 100 fighters on the roster like the welterweight or lightweight division. That being said, where does that slide you in there? I mean, there's probably 20, 25 fighters on the roster there at flyweight. Is there an idea of what you want in there, or where do you think you match up in the top 15?
Yeah, man. I said this in the post-fight presser, but I want to take my time. I'm young. I turned 23 just a month or two ago, and I kind of want to work my way through the rankings. So I want to start from the bottom and work my way to the top. I do think I will be the champ of the division. And as of now, I think I match up great with anybody in the top 15. I can see myself putting on really good performances against all those guys. But I'm in no hurry, man. I'm not putting a timetable on when I want to be champ. It's not like I need to be the champ by the time I'm 25. I think it's going to happen. I know it's going to happen. And I'm in no rush. I'm in the gym every day, and I get better every day. So I'm just kind of play it by ear. And there's no name in my mouth that someone I want to fight. I do have a fight lined up with an opponent and a date. So maybe after that debut, I might have a name in my mouth or a person I want to fight.
I want to focus on a fight that happened really early on in your career, and it's really kind of shaped you as a fighter. I want to talk about your loss to Nate Smith. It was a very, very close fight. What was the biggest lesson you learned from that fight that you've applied to your following fights?
Yeah, with the Nate fight, it was just I needed to treat the professional MMA scene like a business. I took the same mindset I had as an amateur into the professional rankings, which was I'll fight anybody, any weight, doesn't matter. And that's not how it works, man. That's not how it is when you go pro. You can do that as an amateur, kind of test yourself as an AME, get that experience, fight whoever. But as a pro, you got to treat it as a business. And I didn't do that. My first fight, I took it at a weight class above against a guy who was 4-0. And, the result kind of spoke for me doing that. And then I took 3 pro fights in 4 months. I was in training camp for 10 months. And again, this is not making excuses, man. This is just, realizing a mistake and that I learned from and kind of being smarter with my career. That Nate fight, I did think I won that fight. It was in his hometown. It was a split decision. He won that night. Props to him. But I think overall, it wasn't even a fighting thing that I learned most from that fight. It was just to treat this like a business and just be more professional, right? There's no reason I should be fighting 3 times in 4 months. And being in camp for pretty much the whole year. It's just hard on the body, and it's something I learned from.
Is it a little rewarding knowing that you got here and he didn't? Does that make it any more satisfying? Yeah, maybe I lost that night controversially, but I lost. But you know what? I made it to the show, and I won when it mattered. Or does it? That fight's in the past. It doesn't even really matter anymore.
Yeah, I mean, I was hoping the kid would win so we could have that trilogy fight in the UFC. I hope he gets another shot. He's good, man. I respect him as a fighter and a mixed martial artist. As a person, I don't like him. Um, but yeah, as a fighter, I respect him, and I hope he gets another shot and he gets in the UFC. He's good, man. He's obviously skillful, but I think I'm better than him everywhere, and I would love to get that one back.
I love how young you got into this sport. Like it's unheard of when you hear about fighters watching it on TV at such a young age. I can just imagine my parents would never let me even come near like watching a UFC event live. How did that play a role into really like making you follow your dreams into becoming a UFC fighter?
Yeah, man, my parents' support was a weird one. It was like, we don't want you doing this, but we want you doing this at the same time. So that was cool. Like I remember specifically like my mom at my very first fight. It was a couple weeks after turning 16. Like I still had braces on my face. Like I was still looking like a kid. And we were in some like hillbilly bar out in Grain Valley, Missouri, called the Whiskey Tango. And I just remember my mom, like in between rounds, I looked over and she's covering her face and she's like looking through her hands. Uh, so like, they weren't happy at first with my decision, but now they're like my number one fans, man. They're super supportive. They understand the sport. They watch every UFC card every weekend. Like just the other week, my mom was like, "Oh man, that's a deep arming guillotine." I kind of looked over at her like, "Dang, mom!" Like yeah. So they're like, they understand the sport and they support me a ton, and that was cool from a young age to kind of get that support from them. And you know, uh, I kind of got to watch the sport grow from when I started watching it when I was 14 to now. It's a completely different sport, and that's pretty cool.
One of the things I noticed is you did get a tattoo with a Colombian flag. You are a proud Colombian. That being said, you fought your entire career here in the United States. Is it a dream of yours to maybe compete in a UFC Columbia card?
Dude, that would be sick, man. That'd be crazy. Yeah, that's definitely on the bucket list to bring the UFC to Columbia. I think that's a goal that we can accomplish, and who knows? Maybe that's where a title fight would be in the future.
Is that something that you want to do? I heard a lot of guys talk about, I want to travel with this. I want to go out and explore the world. Guys like Ed Herman at every fight seems to be in a different country. But then there's guys who just sort of like, you know what? I don't really want to leave the the United States. I think Robbie Lawler has like 100 professional fights. And he's only ever fought outside of the U.S. once, and that was in Canada. So if you could, project your career, where would you rather be? Fight in the United States or explore the world while you can?
Yeah, I would love to explore the world, man. I feel like that's part of one of the perks of having this as a profession is getting to travel with your friends, your coaches, your homies, and getting to experience different cultures, try different food. Obviously, it's hard doing that while you're cutting weight in a different country, but I mean afterwards, like the UFC lets you choose your return flight, so why not make it an experience? I think that's part of life is getting to experience different parts of the world, and I've always thought traveling super cool. I haven't gotten to do a ton of it. I think I've only left the country twice, but it's awesome, man. I love it, and I definitely want to do more of it.
We talked a little bit about your Latino background. Another Latino is fighting for the light heavyweight strap, and Dominick Reyes, who arguably won against John Jones. Being a John Jones fan, thought he lost, but I think there's a lot of bias in that. He's fighting Jan Blachowicz. What's your prediction for that fight?
It's a good fight, man. Reyes is good, man, and I think he showed that against John that he's definitely top three in the world. I'll take Reyes in that probably by TKO. You can't sleep on how do you say his last name?
Blachowicz.
Blachowicz. Yeah, I butchered that. Yeah, can't sleep on him, and he's good. But I think Dominick Reyes is better everywhere. Uh, I think the other guy might have better jiu-jitsu, but uh, that's just one facet of the game, and it's hard to get someone there. So I'll take Reyes in that fight.
I'll ask you one last question, and then I'll let you get going. So you've got a date, November. You've got an opponent. How excited are you to get back in there?
Super excited, man. I love this matchup. I couldn't ask for a better matchup. Stylistically, it's perfect, and I think the UFC matched it up for a reason. They knew it was going to be fireworks, and uh, I'm not in here to get more fight of the nights. Dana told me after my fight that was fight of the night. I want this performance of the night, so I'm excited to be able to go out here and show more facets of my game and just show I'm a well-rounded mixed martial artist.
So for people who may not have watched your Contender Series fight, what can they expect from you? What's your fight style like, and what can they expect in November?
Yeah, my fighting style is just violent. It's I'm constantly looking to do damage, and I'm trying to rearrange your face. I'm trying to move your eyebrows around. I'm trying to play Mr. Potato Head. I'm not one of these people that are going to take you down and just hold you down. If I take you down, I'm looking to do damage. I'm looking for you to make a mistake, to either leave your neck out or just keep punching you, keep elbowing you until you give up.
When people are violent, they tend to feed off the energy of the crowd. As someone who's kind of competed in an empty arena, do you notice it at all, or are you someone who just manages to drown all that out?
Yeah, it was noticeable just of how quiet it was, and there were certain circumstances going into the fight, like me not having my coaches there, that kind of made it more obvious. Especially in a place that's just like where you can hear a pin drop, and so yeah, it was different, but at the same time, it's a fight. Whether it's in an empty arena in front of Dana or in front of 10,000 people or in your backyard, a fight's a fight. So there was like no added pressure. It just felt like another fist fight.
All right, man. I'll give you this opportunity to kind of like plug your Instagram and your Twitter handles, if anyone wants to follow you.
Sweet. Instagram is jmolina_125. Twitter's the same thing. I think Facebook is JSMOLINA_125. And yeah, that's it, man. Thank you for having me, brother.
No, man. Thanks for coming on. I appreciate it. I've been a fan for a while. You really impressed me on the Contender Series, and I'm rooting for you next time out.
Thanks, brother. I appreciate it.
All right, man. All the best.